The bank, yeah. They explained to me, you know, Shane, you can do them. You don't even have to run. Like you can, like find a bank with a laundromat close by, put some clothes in, change your.
Before bulletproof glass.
Oh yeah, this is the early 80s, you know, and you can put 2 pairs of clothes on in a disguise and go in the bank and rob it. And when you come out, go back in the laundromat, take off the disguise, and they're gonna think you left. You're gonna be right there. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. You know, you can use anything. I rob banks on a bus. I rob banks in cabs. You know, you could, if they couldn't see your getaway, you could sit down at a restaurant next to a bank, rob the bank, and then go sit in the restaurant, you know? Anyway, so me and Case end up down. Now, because we had met these bank robbers and they had explained to us, her and I would always talk about maybe robbing a bank. But we never had. But we ended up down here. The Children's Services took our kids. My a month and like 2-3 years. They were like babies. What happened was when she got pregnant with Stormy, my second daughter, she's still using. I had gotten on a methadone program and I was going back to school trying to do something. It wasn't long, but for a little while. And she kept using and I would catch her. I'd go in the bathroom and she'd be fixing it. She's pregnant. So the story goes that I wasn't there that night, but she did a speedball and went into labor. And the baby was born at Hollywood Press. And I didn't go to that delivery because I knew it would be bad. I knew that she'd be there begging drugs. And I knew that, you know, when you're having your baby, it's supposed to be this beautiful moment. You know what I mean? Casey's in there going, I'm in pain, give me some morphine, you know, whatever she's doing. And I knew better than to be there. So the baby, of course, they tested it. And I went and saw her. It was horrible. She was kicking. It was horrible. They give them phenobarbital.
You're a very smart, self-aware person. Now, how are things so, what made just so not having a family structure, things were so chaotic in your life?
Well, yeah.
In that case, Cola didn't help.
No, so just to back up my grandfather, everything good I got from my grandfather. He was the male in my life. Now later in prison, old man Jimmy and these guys would become father-like figures, and a lot of them, I got a lot of good from them. David Bianchini, this Vietnam vet.
Young years.
Yeah. He's the one that taught me to always read. He wanted me to be a lawyer. He would talk to me about, you know, Clarence Darrow and you know what I mean? And he was the one that was like, Shane, just always read. He would buy me, you know, good books. And he's the one that taught me to always keep my nails clean. That there were certain things, you know, that, and he would be like you can cuss, and I do cuss. And he said, but if you're a smart guy, you can find other ways to do, you know, you don't have to always do, you know, like a lot of good things I learned from him. But he dropped dead when I was 12, and then I had nobody. And so I think what happened is, you know, you're adrift, and I think if you really get into the deep psychology of it, you know, my mom didn't even want me. She's kicking me out. So, you know, if your mother doesn't love you, you think, who will? You dig, like deep inside. Now I've gone through I mean, I'm good. Don't get me wrong, but that's how that happens. You know, you become fodder for the system. And the system...
And you're in the street and you're with junkies and people that teach you how to rob a bank.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
What was your first bank?
First bank I robbed was at 7th and right up the street right here at 7th and Flower. I robbed it on a bus. Yep. Bank of America. Yep. The buses, this is 7th. They go both ways. You can see the traffic. 8th, they go one way up that way. So all the buses line up down here, and up at Flower, you can look down 8th Street and see the buses. And I told Casey, now they had told us we could rob them on a bus if we timed it right. Because cops...
Get on the bus.
Yeah, cops ain't expecting that. That back then, you know. I doubt very...
having a getaway.
Right, we didn't have one. So what are we gonna do? So I put on 2 pairs of clothes. I told her to wait at the corner when she sees the buses 5, 6, 8 blocks away, however far down. Raise her arm. I would be at the next block. I'd go in the bank and stick it up. There was a toy store right here at 7th. Oh, 8th. 8th and Broadway. There was a toy store, and I had gotten the
Toy gun.
and I fucking went in there. She raised her arm. I went in there, robbed the bank. I came out. Now, when you come out, you cross the street, there's a building, and then there's a driveway that goes down under the building, and you can go up the embankment to the alley. And then I walked down the alley, took the clothes off, and when I came out of the alley, you're right at a bus stop. The bus is pulling up. I get in it. Bus makes a right on Figueroa, and as we're going by 7th, the cops are pulling up to the bank, and we're driving away in the bus. That was my first bank robbery.
How much you get?
1,800.
Hey, let's get Al Prophet to 1 million subscribers. So, in addition to liking and sharing and leaving a comment, remember to subscribe.
The least I ever got was 400. The most I ever got was 36,000. It was always somewhere in between. I got some,
1,800 was just enough.
but when you're a dope fiend, and you're broke,
So how many
It's heaven.
did you guys do before?
we did 29. We did 22 in LA, 7 in San Francisco.
We used to go to San Francisco.
The feds, what happened?
Or you're coming to cop.
Yeah, what happened was I robbed the bank. Now in the meantime, I'm going to court for the girls. The girls are in children's services.
Your daughters back.
Right, I got them back during the bank robbery run. I actually pulled bank robbery money out and showed that I had money. I lied and told them I was working for the movies. And the judge gave me a break and gave me the girls back. So then we started robbing banks with the girls in the car. Not cool. Now, I'm not proud about it, but at the time, I'm not proud about any of that. But anyway, what happened with that was there was a bank, and what I'd do is I'd use the money, we'd shoot dope, stay in hotels, buy cars. Sometimes we'd have the cars, sometimes we wouldn't. Sometimes you'd buy a car and you'd think it's good, and then it'd break. And then, it was like, because we were getting used cars, like you go get one for $500 or $800. At the time, that's what used cars went for. You'd get some shitty 70s car or a Volkswagen or, and then I'd use them and the axle would break. On one of them, I had a Audi and the axle broke on it. That's a funny story because I've never told these ones. I had die packs go off in the bank. I've had them go off on me in the car, in the cab. I had one go off right up the street here. Great Western Savings. I had a cab. He's waiting. This is at 6th Street over here. 6th and Figueroa. 10th bank robbery, maybe. 12th, I don't know. And I go in there, tell the cab driver, Casey's in the cab. I'm like, hey, I'll be right back. I got to cash a check. I'll leave her in the car. Don't worry about things. He's like, no problem. I go in the bank, stick it up. She stacks the money. When I grab the money, I would feel it. And the die packs at that time, they were usually in $10 bundles. And they're hard as a rock. They're hard. And it's tear gas. People don't realize that. They don't just you think when you hear die pack, you think it's gonna be like dye that's gonna squirt and get on the money. But the truth is, they burn. They have a CO2 cartridge. I've taken them apart. The ones haven't gone off, and I've literally taken them apart. And why I'm telling you this story is I'll explain it. I threw one out the window on the 101 freeway here in the valley. My car broke down. I literally was on the side of the freeway, and I looked down, there's all these $10 bills. And I thought, wow, and it was the die pack I'd thrown out. For sure, it was it. Anyway. There, what happened is I came out, and I knew I had the die pack, and I was gonna drop it in the gutter as I got in the cab, and it went off in my hand. Boom, and they go off loud. And it went off, and I dropped it, and I slammed the door, but tear gas got in the cab, and the cab driver's like burned, and he's like, what is that? What is that? I'm like, just go. And he knows now, he knows. And we went right, he let us off probably right there. I'm dead serious, right there. I gave him like $300 for a $5 ride.
Next day you're coming to cop.
Okay, with that one, what happened was I robbed a bank, Playa del Rey and Manhattan Beach, and there was a bowling alley, and I had the cab driver park in the bowling alley, and then you could go through one door of the bowling alley out to the bank, and the bank there's a corner and the bank sat kind of on a angle. It might still be there. It was a Bank of America. And I thought, okay, I told the cab driver my brother worked in the bowling alley. I was gonna go get some money. Don't worry, I'm gonna leave Casey here with you. I'm gonna run in there. And I went through there, out that door into the bank. And when I raised my shirt, I had a 44 Magnum then. I raised my shirt, the teller ducked behind the counter. She freaked out and ducked behind the counter. So I'm standing there, cab's waiting, no money. So I pulled the gun and I just yelled at everyone, put the money on the counter, because and then I scooped it into the bag. And when I went out of the bank, there was a big siren and it was going, woo, woo, like really loud. So I panicked and I didn't run through the bowling alley like I was supposed to. I ran straight to the cab. Cab driver's backing out to go. We're like, we're gonna go downtown. Come on, let's go. We're done. Here's the money. Like I'm already showing him money, and he's backing out, and the car stalls. And I'm like, fuck. And I mean, we're sitting there. I can literally, the bank was maybe half a football field away, maybe at the most, and I can see them in the window watching. And I'm telling Casey, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna give you some money. I'm gonna run. They're coming. And the cab driver was like, hold on. And he literally got out and he did something and he got back in and fired up and we went. But what happened is I had him let me off at 8th and Grant. And the next day, and we got a hotel up on Figueroa. There used to be these dope fiend motels up there, and we got a hotel. And the sun was setting, and there was only so much dope, because I used to come down here and I'd buy all the dope. Like, if I had a lot of money, there are all the dealers, and I go, how many you got? 15 balloons, give it to me. How many you got? 15. You got Coke? Yeah, give me that too. Where's the outfits? This guy would sell outfits for $1. He said, give me 100 of them or whatever. And then we'd go get a hotel, me and Casey, and we'd sit there forever long until it was all gone. But that particular night, we only got so much. So the next day, I'm walking back down here. It's early in the morning, 8 o'clock. And there's a guy on crutches. Now, later, I found out he was on the run from the feds. But at the time, I don't know, he's a black guy, he's on crutches, dope fiend. I'd give him money. Sometimes I'd be in a good mood, and I'd give him money. I go, here, take the money. Other times they'd be waiting for me, and I'd be like, what's wrong, mother? And I'd pull the money out. I go, there's money out there, motherfucker, go get it. Fuck you. I'm not, what am I? You're fucking, I'm on your welfare? Fuck you. Depending on the mood I was in. Some days I'd give everyone a bag. I didn't care. That particular day he kept going, Shane, come here. And I was like, what? Like I thought he wanted to get money, and he goes, no, come here. And I go there, he goes, man, the FBI's all over here, man. They got pictures of you robbing banks. He didn't know what I was doing. There's no way he could have known. So he knew then. And he goes, like, man, they're saying you're the ponytail bandit. And that's the first time I ever heard that term. And I was like, fuck. So I copped real fast and got the fuck out of there. Now, later I found out. Later, Anthony from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they jumped him for being me. It's in his book.
Okay, right.
It's in his book. Yeah, because they're coming down here copping with long hair. So there's a few people that got caught up in that. Yeah, it's in his book. He said that they looked at his teeth and let him go. And I was like, that's bullshit. But, people remember things differently.
He's very sharp.
Yeah. They took one look at him, but he said teeth, but what? Nobody saw my teeth? You know what I mean? They just came and they probably looked at the picture. Nah, it ain't the guy. And so that was it. Another guy that hitchhiked out here with Johnny Depp, Greg Weiss, I saved his life in prison. He was the second ponytail bandit. He robbed banks in '88. I was already locked up. And he came to TI and we played music together. And Nick Cage, he was from that crowd. And I get a lot of times, Johnny in his book says, this guy was the ponytail bandit. So people contact me and they're like, do you know Johnny Depp? And I do know Johnny, but not from that. But I'm like, no, that was Greg Weiss. He's dead now. Him and Manya were robbing banks like me and Casey were. Same kind of thing. The thing is, in the 80s, LA was the bank robbery capital of the United States. Everyone's robbing banks.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, the freeways, like it's just like I think there's a bank robbery every so often,
Yeah, every exit now, there's a bank, you get out.
And I knew the Yankee Bandit. I knew the Ninja Bandit. I knew the Marx Brothers Bandit. I knew the Brown Bag Bandit. I knew all of them LA bank robbers. You know, LA, when you go to Terminal Island, that was the jail for bank robbery to get, you know, it was the federal jail before the MDC jail. I mean, a lot of bank robbers, you know, because feds. Now, the state picks up bank robberies too. And the state picked up a few of mine, but that was later. I got 9 years for the state for the banks. But anyway, I went to Oakland after that. We took the train from down here all the way up to Oakland because I realized the feds were, I was hot here in LA. I had robbed a bunch in the valley, a bunch downtown, some by the beach. End up in San Francisco. Now, San Francisco's where they busted me. And the state cop got me, not the feds. What happened was there were two robbery cops, Tawny and Vigo, and they were like legendary robbery cops. Vigo especially, he was known. I mean, I don't know what cases they worked on, but they were robbery, homicide. And what they told me, they caught me on a Sunday, and they told me that they had decided on their own to just start looking. I had bought in this car, and I was staying in this motel. This Chinese guy owned it, and I bumped his car. And he came out and was giving me a hard time, and I socked him. So the cops were going to every dope fiend motel because that was the MO. Guy would rob a bank, go to a dope fiend. You know what I mean? So they took a picture of me, and the guy was like, yeah, I know who he is. He just socked me. And he had my license plate. So they looked for this green car with that license plate, and they found it in front of the Grand Southern Hotel at 7th and Mission. And what happened is I woke up and I'm dope sick. And when you're dope sick, you want sugar. I guess it works with the same brain receptors. So I told Casey, I gave her, and I go get me some candy. I got my girls with me too. The babies are with me. And I fell back asleep. Next thing I know, I'm waking up and there's guns. They're cuffing me and they're on top of me. It's Vigo and Tawny. And what happened is she went down to get me candy and they were watching the car. And she went to the car and they grabbed her. I have the paperwork. Then they took her in the back of a liquor store and they said, where is he? And she said, fuck you. And they go, well, what are you waiting for? We're going to kill him. You know, you can either help us or when he comes out, we're going to shoot him. So she finally said, okay, he's in room 300. You know what I mean? I don't blame her. What I do blame her for is, so they catch us, they take us to the robbery. They have all these photos of me in the bank. They have them from here. They have a bunch of them. And they're like, I have one of them with me. They says, you know, sign these photos and you know, because they want you to make their case easy. You know, you can say, shut up, which is what you should do is never talk to them. But I had girls and Casey, and so I said, I'll sign the photos if you let her go. Then I'll sign them. And they're like, well, they went to the corner and talked. There was Henry Hashino was the robbery. He was an FBI agent. Barbara Madden and Henry Hashino were these FBI, the agents that were on my case. And they went to the corner and they talked, and then they came back and they said, okay, deal. And I go, no, I want to see her walk out of here. Like, you got to, I don't believe you. You could just put her in the next room. So they cuffed me, and the way the robbery homicide worked, there was like a second floor where I could see the doors, and they walked me, and there's 2 stairs that come down. And she kissed me goodbye. I walked out with the kids. I went in and signed all the bank robberies. So I couldn't fight the cases. That was, you know, I'm done. Like, this is me. I mean, there's no room to fight it. Threw myself on the mercy of the court. She took the kids. Maybe 10 days later, left him at someone's house, and we never saw her again. She never saw her again. The kid.
And she lingered at for 20-something years.
The kids went into foster care, and I stayed in touch with the foster parents, and they let me write the girls. And when I got out, I actually stayed for a few weeks with them at the foster house, which was in bad shape, but we can get to that. But Casey, she went and sold her ass on the street. She got multiple prostitution cases, which is funny because I called one time and I'm like, hey, I just went to children's court. The case has got all these prostitution cases, friends of ours. And the dude's like, says to this old lady, he knows. So they knew, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, I mean, sucks, but whatever. So, you know, obviously Casey wasn't going to take care of the girls. So, you know, when I got out, I mean, they had been in foster care 8 years and 23 days or something. And as long as I'd been locked up or close to it. So, you know, I mean, they didn't have anybody. Luckily, what happened was maybe halfway through my sentence, they wanted me to sign my parental rights away, and I never would. But with that, I didn't have to go to court every time they went to court, but they had to send a lawyer to whatever prison I was in. And I was in the East. I was in Lewisburg. And they to apprise me of the hearing and what was going on. And they wanted me to sign my parental rights. And they really put a lot of pressure on me to do it. And I finally told my lawyer I would do it if they kept them together. I wanted to, because at least then they'd have each other. Because they don't have a mother. They don't have...
Oh, and her sister's bad.
And I don't want them separated. Because at least... And they did. They stayed together the whole time. So when I got them back, the older one had been more abused than the younger one. It was pretty bad, you know. But when I got them back, you know, at that time... there was a guy in the joint I was with, old man Jimmy Thomas. Now, old man Jimmy Thomas started going to prison in 1948. He was in Quentin. He did, I don't know how much time in Folsom. I got pictures of him in Folsom. He was there when Johnny Cash played. He was a legend. He was Eddie Bunker's cellie. Eddie Bunker wrote those books, Animal Factory or No Beast So Fierce or Felon.
Reservoir Dogs, he would consult the last big movies. Or crying.
Right, and he was writing those at the time they were in Foley together. And when Jimmy got out, what happened was Jimmy was the foul-mouthed bandit in 1964, and that was the year I was born. There's a lot of similarities with me and him that ended up like his old lady's birthday is my birthday, and his birthday was my brother's, and you know, it's just weird similarities. And we met in Terminal Island, and he took me under his wing. I guess I'm smart, I'm young, I'm great, you know. So he taught me everything, and he was a fucking legend with the convicts. 13 murders. He had
in prison.
Some in prison, some on the street, both. He had a great...
Before you dated, he had been in prison before any of those hearings.
Yeah, he was there when that jumped off. He was at the beginning of all that. But he was in Folsom, not in Quentin. That's kind of kicked off in Quentin, but he was part of all that. He was the guy. I got pictures of me and him together. By the time I got to him, it was the 80s. And... what happened was when he got busted in 66, he was a foul-mouthed bandit, and he had robbed a grocery store in San Gabriel. And he had a crime partner, and he pulled the car up, and he told the dude, look, man, I'm going to go in there when I come out, you know. And Jimmy said he went in, and they used to have at the supermarket in the aisles up high, they had these one-way mirrors where they would watch the aisles for shoplifters. Jimmy went up there and laid up there and smoked a joint, he told me, watching the place close. And when it closed, then he came down and he grabbed the guy. And the guy opened the safe for him, but he hit an alarm. And so Jimmy beat him almost to death. They thought the guy was going to die. So when Jimmy comes out of the fucking, the grocery store, the cops are pulling up, and he says he sees the taillights of his crime partner driving away. So he's got a gun, he starts walking, and the cops pull up, and they go, hey, stop. And Jimmy keeps walking. He says he just spun around, started shooting. And he boom, 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 shoots him, and they shot back and got him. And he said that they hit him on the ground, and he said he could see the cement. The bullets hitting the cement, like coming off of it. He said Jimmy got up and ran, and he went into a backyard, and he went into a garage, and he laid down on his gun, and he said the first cop that rolled him over, he was going to shoot him and die. I mean, he was a really dangerous guy. And the cop came and put his foot on his back, the last thing Jimmy remembered. So he wakes up in the hospital. There's a robbery. State cop knows him because Jimmy's been in trouble his whole life. 66, Jimmy started going to prison in 48. And San Quentin. So the guy's like, oh, Jimmy, you did it this time. This guy's going to die. We're going to give you the death penalty. You know, this guy dies. We're going to execute you. We're going to put you in that room and put the gas on you, you know, motherfucker. So as soon as the cops left, he called the feds and he told them, hey, you looking for the foul-mouthed bandit? Because when he robbed, he'd be like, hey, motherfucker, you love me. Why are you looking at me? And so the feds came and he got 25 for the feds, life for the state. The guy lived, and he told me, never give up, Shane. 12 years later, he was back on the street. I want to say in 78, he was back out. It might be, I don't know if it's exactly 12, you know, but he ended up being the technical advisor on Straight Time, which is a Dustin Hoffman movie. It was the first movie, Eddie Bunker. They made a movie out of his book.
1978, yeah.
Jimmy was hired as a technical advisor. He's in the shower scene. He's got the big tattoo on his back. And old man John, his crime partner's in there too. He's got tattoos too. And they taught Dustin Hoffman and Harry Dean Stanton how to rob banks. And in fact, the trench coat that Harry Dean Stanton's wearing, they literally gave Jimmy $100. He was wearing it. And they said, can we use it? And he told, and that's why Harry Dean Stanton, and that's like, do you love me, motherfucker? Why are you looking at me? It's the exact way Jimmy would rob banks. So him and old man John, he told me, they were doing that in the morning in San Bernardino, and in the afternoon they were robbing banks for real in the valley. So, I mean, it was just that guy. Jimmy was that guy.
Race criminality.
And
how long were you in prison?
that was during the banks. So it was 8 years. Yeah. It was 8 years and 23 days.
Did that seem as intense, or you were more used to it?
The beginning, you see, the thing is that because of punk rock and the bands, I always had girls that would visit me. And that meant I had drugs. And the problem with having drugs in prison, there's multiple problems that come with that. Now, if I could have drugs and not worry about making money for the phone bill and for your girlfriend, and you know what I mean, then I just have her bring me drugs, never sell any, no one would know, go back to your cell, get high, you're good. But I have these big phone bills. I talk to her all the time. So I thought, okay, I'll sell a little dope. Okay, so you get some drugs. You want to sell it. You've got to get paid. If you don't get paid, one guy doesn't pay you, no one's going to pay you. They're going to be, he's a punk, you know, so you got to deal with that. The other thing you got to deal with is jealousy. So then if you're a white dude, the white guys are going to want their issue. Sometimes you got to pay off the other races too. It's politics. It depends, you know. Like me, I never paid.
Sure.
I never paid anybody. They tried, and I literally, I remember Horace. He's dead now. He was from Norwalk. Good. He was a good guy, but he told my cellie, we're gonna attack Shane, and Rick was like, so he came up to me, and goes, hey Shane, we want our cut. And I'm like, you know what, Horace, fuck you. Go get your shit. Kill me, because it's so hard to get it. You got the cops sweating you. You can't talk about it on the phone. You know, you got all these people, one might not pay you. I ain't giving it to nobody. Fucking kill me. Like, put your money where your mouth is. Kill me. Kill me. He went and he told Rick, what the fuck? What's wrong with Shane? What I would do is I'd get a couple of them high, but not the same ones every time. Maybe I'd get these two high. Then next.
Wow, they felt like they'd be used to it. They thought that.
Right. And then the next time I get these two high, and, you know, and I just keep the right people down. You know what I mean? Never let them know quite what I have, but, you know, but it's dangerous. And then the thing you don't think about, and this is what makes me really angry, okay? Because now, granted, I got out of all of it. I've been out 30 years. I never debriefed. I never ratted on nobody. There's not bad word on me. I challenge anyone to find anything bad on me. You can't. But the cops say everyone's a rat. They literally think that, the COs. And you find out as you're doing time that people you never suspected, they're jealous that you're getting high. They're telling on you. They're dropping notes. Maybe they don't sign the note to say who it is, or maybe they dry rat you, but it's horrible. It's fucking horrible. Because you're raised in this certain ethic, and you assume that everyone has that ethic. Now, the special needs yards now, when I was in there and I got out in 93, the first guy I ever saw, good dude, check in was a guy around Jimmy's age, an older guy named Dickie. God damn it if I can't remember his last name. And I like Dickie. Good guy. But the same guy, Horace, he got in a drug debt. And Horace told him, go get your shit and meet me at the handball court. That's where they'd settle shit. And the guy went and PC'd up. Now, granted, he was in his 60s. He had done time in all the joints, all right, you know. He had lived with, he was a grandfather. He had lived with his old lady. She was from Phoenix. And I think he just got tired, man. And so he checked in. And now what should have happened is everyone should have been like, that's wrong. You don't do that. Because the way I was taught is that that particular yard, if they have a PC tier, if they even walk you towards it, you start fighting. Fuck that. Because, you know, if you go on that tier, word's going to get back. You dig that you're no good, you know, even if you are good, you know. So you were taught, start kicking to fight. Dean Rose and some of the guys I got shipped back east, legendary guys from Sacramento, Dean Rose and Steve Miller Country, we ended up getting transferred, disciplinary transfers together. Those guys were the guys, older guys that kind of taught me if it's the minute they walk you towards there, start fighting. Jimmy would say the same thing, the same shit. But Dickie checked in, and you would think, but what happened is then next time another guy does it. And they're like, wow, that guy, and then another guy, and then another guy. And I think really it's actually, well, he did it, so I'll do it too. Rather than he did it and it's wrong.